Well, hello. My name is Simon Reichwald. Welcome to this session on how to make your work experience work for you. Or what I would, another way of describing it is how to make sure that your work experience helps you to stand out. So this session really focuses on the work experience that you've had and how to make the most of that when selling yourself and putting yourself through the job hunting process, and also for work experience you've got coming up, how you're going to get the most out of it to ensure that whatever work experience you've had, however much work experience you've had, that it can really help you stand out when you are job hunting. So that's what we're going to cover. A little bit about me. I run a business called Bright Futures. I've been involved in the graduate recruitment market for 17 years. So I've been recruiting, and my organisation and my team have been recruiting graduates across the UK and Europe for that time. And so we've got a lot of insight into what it is that employers look for. And that's what I'm going to share with you, is that insight into all the different employers we work for both large companies and small companies and medium-sized companies, about what they look for and when they're looking at graduates to join their business or interns to join their business, what they're looking for, and how you can really focus on that work experience piece. So, a little bit about Bright Futures. As well as being a graduate recruitment business, we also run the UK's largest student society focused on careers and skills, called the Bright Futures Society. We've got Bright Futures Societies running in more than 35 universities across the UK, and the society exists fundamentally to help students to stand out in the job market. We link you up with a broad range of employers from lots of different sectors, who you can network with, talk to, and explore and find out about opportunities with them and what it's like to work for them and what they're looking for, but also to help you develop the skills that you're going to need to secure jobs with those employers. So it really is an organisation that gives you the opportunity to take some personal responsibility and put you in control of your career when you're from university. So that's what the Bright Futures Society does as an organisation. There's a Bright Future Society here at the University of Leicester, run by a president and a committee, students themselves. My organisation provide all the support for our society, so we support the society here at Leicester. We run and host a website. We bring graduate recruiters into the network for you to link up with. We run conferences and training events for our committees, provide them with all the marketing collateral, and we help support them in what they're looking to do on campus. So if you want to get involved in the society, you can. More importantly, if you want to get involved in the committee, that might be something that you want to do, and that's how we would support you. So that's the end of the sales pitch about Bright Futures. Now let's get into the presentation session proper. And let's start with just a little bit of background about the graduate market. It's been pretty bleak for the last couple of years. If you were graduating in 2008, 2009, it was pretty tough. And it was not an easy place to be. Grads were still getting jobs, but it was a very, very difficult market, and there were less jobs around. The market through 2010 and as we move into 2011 is getting a lot better, and employers are definitely back in the market, and they are recruiting again in a really positive way. So despite what the media are trying to convince you that there are no jobs out there for graduates, that's just not true, and certainly there are a lot more job opportunities out there for graduates. So be of good cheer and get out there and go looking for those jobs, because they're definitely out there. All that said, it is highly competitive. Employers are even more demanding about what they are looking for, and you need to stand out. It's hugely important that you're able to stand out, because academic achievement is great, but with 2/3 of all graduates getting a 2-1 or better, and average UCAS points at most universities being 300 points, your academic achievement, though very important, is really not going to make you stand out, and you need to stand out in other ways, and one of the things we're going to focus on today is how your work experience can help you stand out. So work experience is very important, great way to differentiate yourself. So what I thought we'd do as a start is just give you a couple of minutes to just write down, before you move on to the next slide, what you want to get from your work experience, or indeed what you have got from your previous work experience. So just spend a couple of minutes writing down what are all the things you can get from work experience. Okay, there are lots of things that you can get from work experience. Start point I think I'd want to pick up on is that all work experience is valuable. Too often I come across students who say, I haven't really got any work experience. And it turns out they have, but because it's not in the sector they want to go in, or not doing the kind of job they want to go into, they don't consider it relevant, or they don't consider it important. And it's just not true. all work experience is valuable. And all work experience is valuable for a very simple reason. Work experience is not the end result. Work experience is a vehicle, it's a tool to give you the skills that an employers want. And that is why all work experience is valuable, because it will give you the opportunity to develop your skills. It doesn't matter whether you're in a telesales job, a telemarketing job, working in retail, working in a bar, doing an internship, doing a placement. All that work experience will give you the opportunity to develop your skills. So all work experience is valuable. So it's really important when you in work experience you've done, when you're thinking of all the different work experiences you've done, look at it in a positive light. Find the positives that you've got from it. Even if it was work experience you did just for the money, really think about what were the skills that you developed on the back of your experiences that you've had, and if you've experienced coming up, really think about what you want to get out of that experience. What are the skills you want to develop from that experience? What are the other things that you want to get from that experience? So your approach to your work experience is really relevant. And there's a quote at the bottom of the slide here, which is from Henry Ford, obviously the creator of the Ford car. And he was said to have said, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you are right. And I think what that says is, if you think your work experience is going to be rubbish and you're not going to get anything out of it, then guess what? You're going to get nothing out of your work experience. But if you think you can get lots out of your work experience, then you'll find ways to get lots out of your work experience. So all work experience is relevant, and do make the most of it. So some practical tips when you're on work experience. So coming back to what can you get out of it, which is the question I posed a little bit earlier. What are the things that you can get out of it? What are the things that you need to do during your work experience to get out of it? Talk to people. When you're in your work experience, talk to people in other departments who are doing other jobs. Find out what their job is like. See if it's something that you might be interested in. So use it as an opportunity to explore different job opportunities outside of obviously the one that part-time or whatever it is work that you're doing. So use it as an opportunity to broaden your understanding of opportunities. Build a network. Talk to people and keep in touch with the network of people you build relationships with. So let's say you meet someone in a company, you've done some part-time work and you're really getting on well with them. When you're then job hunting, perhaps a little bit further down the line, get back in touch with them and ask for their advice and ask for their support. Which is the same as finding mentors. Find people, both perhaps in the jobs that you've done, but also just in and around your life, who can help you when you're going out on work experience. Draw on their experience to help you focus on what you can get from your work experience. When you're in that work and in that job, doing that activity, build a reputation for getting things done. So when jobs come at you, don't push them back, no, it's too hard, or I don't know how to do it. Fine to say if you don't know how to do something, but go into it positively with, how do I do it? So build a reputation for someone who gets a job done, and say yes to opportunities. If you're asked to do something, if something comes at you, build a reputation of someone who takes on projects and gets stuff done, because that'll get more and more stuff coming at you, more and more opportunities will come to you, and suddenly the company will find that you're indispensable to them. And if you get the opportunity, try different roles within that company, or if you get some work experience in one area and in one industry, try and get some work experience in other parts of other industry sectors, doing other roles, so you can explore the different opportunities that are out there and find out for yourself what kind of opportunities are right for you. So, clearly we've talked about how to get the most from your work experience, and one of the things you need to do is obviously develop the right skills that employers are looking for. So what I want you to do now is just spend a couple of minutes writing down what are the skills that you think you need to develop through the work experience you've had, or through upcoming work experience that you're going to get or want to get. What are the skills that you want to develop? So just spend a couple of minutes quickly writing those down. So what are those skills? Well, there was some research done a couple of years ago by two organisations called Hobson's and SHL, and they came up with this as a summary of the skills that pretty much all employers look for. So employers look for people who've got sort of what they call leading and deciding, or leadership skills, the ability and the ability to make decisions and be decisive. They want people who are good at supporting and coordinating, or good teamworking skills, interacting and presenting, so good communication skills, the ability to present confidently. Analysis and interpreting, that's about getting a lot of data coming at you and interpreting it and using and making sensible decisions on the basis of it. Creating and conceptualizing, the ability to be creative and to think differently. There was some research done recently by IBM, surveying the CEOs across the world, and the number one skill that they felt people needed for future was creativity. There are so many challenges facing business today and the world of work today, they need people who can be creative and find different solutions. The ability to be organised and to execute things, so to deliver on projects and to get things done. Adapting and coping, or what I describe as what do you do when the wheels fall off and things go wrong? How well do you adapt? How well do you cope to those situations? And the final one, which is one that a lot of employers moan that students don't have enough of, enterprising and performing, or commercial skills, this understanding that you've got to deliver a result. So those are the skills that you need to develop. And what I would encourage you to do through your work experience that's coming up or that you've had, so if you've had work experience, which of those skills have developed? What examples have you got when you've led, when you've worked well in teams, when you've been creative, when you've had to organise a project and deliver on it? And if you've got areas, if you look at those, looking at those 8 now, and think, well, actually, in some of those I'm probably not quite so strong. Where can you get experiences? Where can you get work experience that will help you develop those skills? And of course, there's lots of ways to get experience to develop those skills. And work experience doesn't all have to be paid experience. So yes, there's internships and placements and part-time work, but there's volunteering. There's exchange programs. There is work shadowing. There's lots of ways you can develop skills. There's coaching, might be sports coaching, taking a lead role in a student society. There are lots of ways that you can get experience or work experience, even if it's not paid work experience, that can help you develop these skills. So if you really want to get the most out of your work experience you've had and that you're going to have, really focus on the outcomes you want from that experience and the skills that you want to develop. So some more practical tips. While you're going through your work experience, at the end of each piece of work experience, what I'd recommend that you do is reflect on the skills that you've developed. So before you go on the work experiences we've talked about already, identify the skills that you need to develop, seek roles that will help you develop these, and then at the end of your work experience, log the skills you feel you've developed, because you'll get lots of different experiences through your time at university, lots of different things you'll get involved in that give you the opportunity to develop these skills. But if you try and pull your CV together at the end of year 3 or year 4 of your time at university, you'll forget lots of things that you've done, lots of experiences and lots of skills that you've developed. So by keeping what I would call a live CV, you can just track and keep up to date with all the things you've done. So when the moment comes when you need to submit a CV for an internship or a graduate job, or you need to complete an application form, you can look at this kind of live CV, which can just be it could be as simple as a notepad full of notes. It could be something that you obviously store on your laptop or your handheld device, where you just log evidence of things that skills you've developed, and also logging evidence of achievements from using those skills. One of the things that employers are really hot on is what have you achieved in the experiences that you've had. Too often, just as a bit of an aside with work experience, people list the duties, what they did in the example. Let's take if you worked in a bar or a club, and students will often put on their CV, worked in 56 North or whatever the bar happens to be called, and as working behind a bar, duties included, serving drinks and taking money. Well, no kidding. We all know that's what you do in a bar. But if you can really focus on achievements that you've had, so perhaps you've grown your responsibilities during that time. You've responsible for training new members of staff by the time you finished. You stood in for the manager when they weren't there. You introduced a student night on what was normally a quiet night and increased the amount of people who came in the takings by 50%. And so evidence of things you have achieved. If it's a society role, how much did you grow your membership by? When you took it over, it was 150 members, and by the time you finished, it was 400 members. Did you organise 15 events in the autumn term? So really log the evidence of the things you achieved during all the different experiences you had. In volunteering and exchange programs, if you were working with in a school, how many children were you working with? In what way did you make a difference? Because these are the things employers want to see, and this is how to make your work experience, when you're then putting it on your CV, how do you really make the most of it? Is you focus on not just what you did, but what you achieved, where you made a difference in measurable, quantifiable ways, are the kind of things that will really help you make the most of the work experience you've had. And get feedback all the time. At the end of your work experience, during your work experience, ask your manager, ask your boss, ask people you're working with, what skills do I seem to be developing well? Which ones can I develop better? How can I do that? What other projects can you involve me in that would help me develop those skills? You show that enthusiasm, you show that keenness, then there are employers out there are opportunities out there where you can really get lots of value from it. So, great little story just to close on. I'm going to tell you the story about the gazelle and the lion. It's a very quick story, but every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up and it knows it must run faster than the fastest lion or it will be killed. And every morning the lion wakes up and knows it must outrun the slowest gazelle or it will starve to death. So it doesn't matter whether you're a lion or a gazelle, but when the sun comes up, you better be up and running. And I think getting a job is a bit like that. You've got to get up and running. The more you do to develop your skills, to have evidence of achieving in lots of different aspects of your life, in lots of different activities, that is the kind of stuff that will ensure that you survive, but more importantly, that you thrive. So don't wait, don't put this off. Get involved now. Start finding some activities. Ask people, use your network, but generate opportunities where you can develop the kinds of skills that employers are looking for. And this will help you secure a good graduate job when you come out of university. So to conclude, some actions that you can take. Say if you like what I've been talking about, if you want to hear more of this kind of stuff, if you want to get this kind of insight, if you want to meet employers who can provide you with these opportunities, if you want to develop the kind of skills that employers look for, get involved in Leicester Bright Futures. The society is here. Go onto our website, which is below, bright-futures.org.uk, and register with us, and we'll get you linked up with the society. The other thing you can do on our website, we've got a webinar, which is a live interactive podcast, which was run by one of our clients, Centrica, and then in that they talk about how to get work experience and how to get the most out of your work experience. So if you want to find out more about this kind of stuff, go onto our website, click on the webinar link, go down to the Centrica one, and you can download that podcast and you can watch it and you can listen to it from your own PC. So I hope you found that useful, and I would encourage you to take action. You've bothered to spend the last 15 minutes listening and watching what I've said here. So take 3 actions that you're specifically going to take that are going to help you to get you what you want at the end of your time at university. So thanks very much, and all the very best.